everybody, it's Luke with Figure Me Out, and today we've got the Mezco Toys PX exclusive Marvel's The Invincible Iron Man Stealth Edition. So here's the front of the box, here's the side. I've still got the plastic on there, haven't even taken it out yet. Got the stealth armor here on the back, got a few shots and some read-ups about all the stuff that it comes with, all the nice little accessories that we get there. And then on the other side we've got more of the same, the 112. On the top we've got Iron Man Stealth Armor, is what it says. And then on the bottom, same thing, Iron Man Stealth Armor. So we peeled off the first plastic layer. There's a nice plastic bag here, and then underneath that we have another plastic layer. Mezco loves their plastic layers. Layers and layers, it's like an onion. And we open that up, and on the inside we have got a read-up saying, hey, these are action figures, but you shouldn't play with them. We've got a instruction sheet for how to put the batteries in. That's blank on the back. We've got a layer, nice tissue layer. And then underneath that, we've got our Iron Man. Underneath about 10 more layers, so with all of these accessories. So I'm going to go ahead and crack this thing open, and we'll get back here in a moment. So here we are out of the package, and taking a closer look at Iron Man himself. He looks really good. Kind of the same face as that one that we got before, the regular release, not the PX exclusive, but just the red and gold one. And that helmet is magnetic still. It does tend to go on the right way, and I say that, and of course it won't now, but it tends to want to fall pretty much the right way, and then to get that back on, you just kind of push it on there, and you can do it that way. The Iron Man face looks really good. Looks fantastic. Got some nice paint on there. Very clean paint. That's one thing I love about the Mezco, is they really don't skimp on paint at all. It's always very clean, very nicely applied. Just overall, it's got a nice shine to it. It's got a nice matte finish. It's beautiful. On the back, this flap right here does come off, and that is where we get our light up effect. So the red arc reactor on this one, and it is pretty bright. Not as bright as the regular release, but still fairly bright. Let's go ahead and talk about accessories here. So just like the previous release, pretty much the exact same accessories. So if you have that other one, no surprises, you can go ahead and fast forward. But on this one we have the chest blast effect. That it is a different color though. The original one was more of a bluish tint, and I'll have pictures up at the end comparing the two. But we got the chest blast effect. And then this pops right back on there, and it just clicks into place. It was a little tough to get that off the first time, but since then it's come off pretty easy. So, but it stays in place It stays in place well as well. So, the next thing we have is these two blaster kind of effects, and these do plug in multiple places. You can either plug them into the bottom of the feet. They go there nicely. They also go in the blast hands that you get over here, which we'll go over here in a second. Next we have 4 of these flame effects. Same kind of thing, they plug in to the blast hands. They plug in fairly well, go out that way, and then they also plug into the bottom of the feet. So either way, whichever one you choose, it's fine. And I believe that the rest of these are the same. If they're not exactly the same, they're very similar. They serve the same kind of function. Next up, we have 2 of these little rocket effects, and these plug into, just like the previous release. If you want to watch my video on that, you can check it out in my history there. And then these do plug into the top though, so you can get that nice side shooting thing if you want to. They do look pretty good. They hold in there pretty tight, so you can kind of play around with them a little bit. They're not going to fall out. So, and there's 2 of those, one for each side. He also comes with 2 hip flare kind of things. Hip flare, whoa! Is that Ric Flair's thing? I can't remember. I think it was woo, right? Hip flare. Anyway, so you get these hip flares, and they look pretty good. Same thing on the other side. It's just that blue with the rockets firing out. Same effects we got on the last one. Exact same effects all the way down the line. Next things we have the alternate hands. So we do come with a couple sets of alternate hands. We've got the stop hands, or the blaster hands, and they do have a nice hole in there. It is painted on the inside. It's got that red, and like I said before, everything plugs in nicely to there. It's nice and tight, gets a good fit in there. These hands are almost like a softer plastic, like a rubbery almost, but not quite. So they're able to hold that and grip it pretty tight in there, which is nice. So we've got 2 of those. And then we've also got the ones that came within package, which are just 2 fist hands. So if you want to do some punching, you can do that. The other hands that we got are these ones right here, which I like these, kind of like a stylized hand. It's got just kind of an at-rest hand, you know. And I think that looks good, but you can also have the hailing a cab hand, or the, you know, disappointed hand. So I like these ones because they're very emotive for what they are. You can do the, what are you talking about hand. And last but not least, we've got this little peg here. This goes in the stand. If you do want to take the arm out of the stand, there's a hole, and you can put this peg in there. That way you can stand your Iron Man up rather than have him held in by the stand. Either way, dealer's choice. Last thing, of course, is the stand itself. And it looks good. It's kind of an arc reactor looking thing, which is kind of cool. It's got the red and the blue to match him, so I think that looks fairly nice. Yeah, pretty standard Mezco stand. Going over articulation here, we've got, he can look up about that much, he can look down about that much. He's got a lot of pivot, so he can go side to side really well. There is rotation at the top of the head and at the bottom of the neck, so you can really get that, like, you get that full neck rotation. At the shoulders, they go out to right at 90. They do swivel all the way around. There's an upper bicep. Double jointed elbow goes in right at 90 degrees, not really much more. There is a swivel at the wrist, and it is hinged where you can go up and down, or you can turn it and go side to side as well, whatever floats your boat. At the top of the torso, he's got an ab crunch that can go forward. Actually, he's got a double joint, so he's got one here and then one at the base, like kind of where his hips are, so he can go forward pretty good. My other one was a little stiff in that regard, but this one seems to have a little bit more flexibility, and he can go back about that much. You can get him in a good flying position with the head and everything. You can get him looking pretty much straight on as he's going, so that's kind of cool. And there is a little bit of tilt to that too, so you get a little bit of side to side as well, and with the bottom you get just even a little bit more, so that's really nice. There is a little bit of rotation right there, not really any rotation at the bottom. You probably push that further if you wanted to. I don't want to. I want to leave this one fairly unscratched. I did scratch my other one, and I've been regretting it ever since. So at the hips, they kind of pop up and down there. There's like a little pop to it, but if you pop it down and then lift it up, you can get it pretty much all the way to the side. And then get it forward. Again, if you pop it down, you can get it forward a little bit more. If you don't pop it down, you're going to get forward to about there, but the armor actually catches on the top of the hip right there. So you want to pop it down before you start getting crazy with it. There is a swivel up there. There's a double jointed knee. There's a boot rotation. And there's ankles that go down just a little bit, up just a little bit, and somewhat side to side. The ankles on these guys are not great, but they're serviceable for a man in a suit of armor, I suppose. And he does stand good. He's got a good center of gravity. And here he is next to the exact same figure, except for different colors. So, like I said, the only difference is that this one's the golden red, and this one's the black and red. So, which one do I like better? I like the classic Iron Man look. I think he pops a little bit more, but the more I play around with this stealth version, the more that I really, really like it a lot. I think the blue is a nice sleek look to it. I think that it's just it's a pretty wonderful figure. The more I get into Mezco, the more I love Mezco, and the more money Mezco gets from me. So, but they are a good product. One thing to note is that on this old one, all the parts are completely interchangeable. So if you want to do like a mashup, a mix and match, if you want to have that red arc reactor blast on him, you can do that. Over here I've got the effects for him in the nice little bag. That's the one thing I didn't mention before too. That the new one does come with a nice little baggie to hold all the things in, which I really appreciate Mezco doing. I think it's a very appreciated gesture. At the very least, it's saves me a lot of time looking for stuff. So thank you, Mezco. But as you can see, the effects from the previous release do fit in there. So if you wanted to mix that up a little bit, you could. If you wanted to have the different blast effects, whatever you think looks better. So you can have a blue in one and a red in the other if you really wanted to. I think that looks probably kind of goofy, but you know, hey, whatever. I think that the blue probably looks more stealthy, but the red kind of goes more with the theme with the arc reactor and everything. Personally, I think that the blue is probably a little nicer, but and then on this Iron Man, I think the red might actually look a little bit better, because then you got the blasts and everything. I don't know. You tell me. Leave me a comment. What do you think? I love this. I think that this is probably one of my favorite Iron Man figures in my collection. I love the weight of it. It's got a nice heft. He's got a nice bounce to it. He's a good, solid figure, a good representation of the character. And if you're a fan of action figures at all, I think that you're going to enjoy this one. If you get the last one, you know, this one's more of the same. If you like that one, you're probably going to like this one. If you didn't like that one, you're probably not. So, as far as Stealth Iron Mans go, this one's pretty good, especially considering that Marvel Legends one is about the same price on the aftermarket. But what do you guys think? You know, leave me a comment, hit like, hit subscribe. If you want to check out the Red Iron Man, please go and check that video out. I have a pretty good comparison in there. I've got him with about, I don't know, 50 or so other Iron Men, so you can see him alongside all kinds of things from the ages. But yeah, give us a comment, give us a like, follow me over on Instagram, Luke_figuremeout, and in the meantime, keep trying to figure me out.